All right. Let's get this series started. We're going to get it started today. First, I bring to you two coaches whose mission is to empower women through educating men. Now, there's a lot of things that we want in life, but there's a couple things that you deserve. You deserve excitement, happiness, and joy. But what you should do is love yourself or else. It's episode 34, y'all. Showtime is right now. Come join this analytical chaos with C. Morgan and King.
What's going on, family? Welcome. Episode 34. Love yourself or else.
Series.
Series. Right. Series.
Hey everyone, I'm C, the chiropractor morning alignment coach.
And I'm King, the authentic coach, and let's go to the Father in prayer. Father, we just thank you for this moment that you have set aside for us to come and empower the people. We love that you are using us to empower the people. And what better subject today than to teach people how to love themselves or else. And Father, we pray that you just use our voice to enlighten, to empower, to inspire, to encourage the people that are listening so that the trajectory of their lives will change for your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Love yourself. We told y'all last week we're going to continue. We was going to come back to it. I told you last week. The next show is going to be Love Yourself or Else. Here we are. This is going to be a series because we have so much in this that we have to do it in a series because I promise you there's no way we can get everything in the Love Yourself or Else part in 1 hour. Just between the Love Yourself, that part is going to take some time, and then the or else. The or else part. So we don't know. We're going to go with the flow. Y'all know how we do. We go with the flow. We probably going to go back and forth.
It's a broad topic.
It's a
with
broad
so
topic.
Much. Yeah.
It is. But we're going to go
and
back
intricacies, yes.
Yeah. We're going to have some intricacies. But the thing about it is, last week, we was in it, and then she woke me up. And she said some things, and I'm like, man, and I knew it was time to go, so I said, we're going to come back to this. Now, it was so much. Like, it's one thing that I held on for a week. And then we'll probably show this part, because we actually recorded afterwards, she saying some things, but we'll probably show that sometime within the series, but later. But one thing she had said that stuck out, she said about how, and I'm guilty of this, I said this. And I told C why I said it, and we're going to go deal in it right now. So, we were talking about how a man would say, hey, look at Toya, it's been a long time since you started the Hey Y'all. See, it ain't the same until you start the Hey Y'all and everybody else come in. Toya, I'm so glad to see you here. Great, thank you, you're here. Now, she said, and I've been guilty of saying this, and I said something, so we're going to deal with it. She said the guys would call her and say, man, I wish I knew what I had. I should have known what I had when I was with you. I messed up. I should have did better. I knew what I had. I miss you, And she said,
Toya,
you right with me. Yeah. So she thought, she said, so she was like, well, yeah, I say Toya. And I said it, Toya. I told C, I say, see, they lying. I say, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to say, I said it because I just really wanted sex. And I was lonely. And I figured, what better person for me to reach out to than my ex and tell her, you know what, man, you the one. I messed up with you. I knew, man, you the one. You know what? I wish it was something we can do. Why? Because I'm lonely and okay, see, children be listening. I'm lonely and I want sex. I'm just gonna leave it that way. So she was like, no. I say, see, trust me, I'm telling you the truth. I said, this is gonna be the first time. I said I was gonna say it on this show. I said, this is gonna be the first time I say men, not it's just me. No, men. I'm just gonna men. Say those things because they are one. Search they lonely. and they like, oh, okay, let me try to go back to familiar, because we
You're
talked about
familiar.
last week, how familiar you go back to, and when you're in a toxic relationship, the reason why you go back to it because it's familiar, and it's something like you
Comfortable.
already know it, and so
Mm-hmm.
that falls into that line, and so see, you can go ahead and say what you said, but that is a lie, like my sister Toya said, it is a lie. They do not want to be back. They do not wish, oh, we could have worked out. That is a lie. They are alone and they looking for sex. Period, point blank. I, and you know me, see, I love somebody to challenge me, because we bring people on this show. We'll put your name on and everything. So if you want to challenge me, reach out to me. But see, tell the
Well,
people
somebody
what you
challenge me
said.
their point of view. Why they, well, if they say why they did what they did, if they're commenting on your comment.
I know why Toya here, see. And Toya gonna get her wish, because I'm gonna deal with it. Because I just thought about something. Toya is a, yeah. Yeah, Toy, trust me. I'm gonna make you happy, because I'm gonna deal with it. I'm gonna deal with it. But go ahead, see. There go my
No, I
wife,
just
which has not changed her name yet. But there go my wife.
Erica.
That's Erica Hairston, by the way. Her name is not Samuels. That gone is Erica Hairston. Hello, Mrs. Hairston. I'm glad to see you here.
No, I'm just saying, when we talked about things, the things that, women hear. I mean, or it could be vice versa. The woman could be saying it to the man too. We're just saying, I'm gonna be fair.
let me hear
We're
it. Let
not
me hear.
angels all the
Let me hear
time.
it. See, let me hear it. How it go for the woman side. Let me hear
I don't know how it goes for the woman's side.
it.
That part of it. I haven't said it, so I don't know. So I'm not gonna I can't lie about it. I mean,
I've
for
said
me,
it. I've said
for
it.
me, like in I mean, with me in relationships, it's just being candid. I don't like games.
Hmm.
I don't like lies. I don't play it like playing with someone's heart. I do my best not to do to people what I do not want done to me.
Right. And you know what? See, you know what? It's great that you said that. I try not to do what I do to other people. Let me tell you something. And I promise you, this is y'all think. That's why I say it's so much. That's why we're gonna do a series of this. Let me deal with something that was that brung up today. That's caught up as we was going over the show notes. This topic came up today.
Oh, I do have an answer for you. That Go ahead. I have an answer now for that question. I have
Which one?
something. No, when you're saying like what some
Go
what
ahead.
some women do.
Let me
No,
hear it.
one of the things that that I've heard and experienced, in the point of they're so-called tired of being the good girl, or tired of being the one that was faithful,
That's
and
where I'm
now they're
going.
getting in. They're like, you know what? It's like, why should I be faithful? They get to an I don't care, or they get to a it doesn't matter right now. They matter. They matter completely.
Right.
They don't care what someone else is doing. They gave the benefit of doubt to somebody else, but that courtesy wasn't given to them
Yeah. Okay.
either.
There go
I
my auntie
have
BB.
I have heard that. Yes, I just had to think about it. So I have heard that.
Okay, that's great. There go my auntie BB. Hey, auntie BB. Listen, let me tell you something. This we were talking about this over during the pre-show. Now, we talked about, and I'm gonna lump it all in now. Toya, I'm supposed to make you happy because I'm about to go deal with this. I'm gonna lump it all in. Listen, um, unfortunately, and literally, I mean this with a sincere heart. Pray for his family. Kevin Samuels passed on the 5th. Now, the thing that bothered me, and again, I can separate. God has blessed me to be able to separate people from their views to that's a person. Like y'all know, y'all heard me say I wouldn't mind getting him on the podcast and me and him going back and forth. But at the same time, it ain't me and him going back and forth. And I'm like, I wish death on that man. No, like it's sad that people are like celebrating this man's death. This man died from a heart attack. If anything, we should be coming together. Yes, he dogged out women. He did. Yes, that's what he did, but that's between him and God at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Because we don't know whether this man was getting paid. Because actors get paid to do stupid stuff, and we love the actors. And say in this world, in this society, you don't know who pulling what people's strings and who's
Mm.
financing for people to say this and they getting paid to say that. So my thing of it is, How his mother found out was sad because she found out through social media, and
That was.
that was sad. That's how she found out about her
Mhm.
son. And then the other sad part was I listened to the 911 call and hearing that girl try to save this man's life. And I told you earlier I didn't like the attitude of the dispatcher. I'm like I thought it was
Mhm.
really off. But the thing about it is, despite this is what I'm leading to. I really wish I'm saying this real. I really wish you pray for his family because that needs to happen, and you pray for the young lady. I don't know how to say her name. I don't. I wish I could, but pray for her too. But my thing of this is, don't judge something because you will be judged that way. And the reason
Mhm.
and I'm a segue into this. See, me and C was doing pre-show. I used to be a person who judged men who mess with married women. Like, how could you mess with married women? Blah blah blah. I was that dude. I was throwing the Bible at them, scripture. You right, da, 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 da. But guess what happened? I fell into that. Didn't wasn't trying to, but I fell into it. Why did King fall into it? Because I was putting my mouth and judging something, and so that thing that I put my mouth on and judge, it came back around to me. And see, that's why I say I'm so careful. I'm telling you all, in loving yourself. Here we go. I told you it's a trick. I tricked y'all into it. In loving yourself, you have to watch what you put your mouth on.
Oh yeah.
So you really, in loving yourself, you have to watch what you put your mouth on. Now, for those of you all who likes to put your mouth on situations that you see in the media or see going on in the world, you have to understand this very thing. And we say this all the time. You only getting a glimpse of that person's life.
Mhm.
You don't know what they do behind closed doors. You don't know if God is dealing with them. You don't know if they actually are repenting. You do not know. So you have to be careful in loving yourself. Be careful what you put your mouth on because it can come back to you. I am a witness of that. Listen. This is going to be a great series because we
I
go
think
in
we all
deep.
had that sometime or another,
Yeah,
and
we go
we've all
deep.
had that sometime in another life. I mean, we all have things we're not proud of, especially
Yeah,
in the past and things we've done, especially as we grow quote up, we grow up, we know better, we do better. I mean, we
right,
do slide back
right.
at times too, but it does still occur. But I think the thing when that does happen and it does occur, the things that we're not proud of, like you said, you slip back into that, or you
Mm-hmm.
know better when you do better. It's basically bringing that awareness.
Yeah,
That awareness can facilitate choice.
yep.
So you're facilitating to do this again, and then you have to find the root. And you go back. Where did this come? Is this from my past that
Mm-hmm.
that door's been left open and I haven't cleaned that closet out yet?
Yes.
Or is it just healing that I need that I didn't do? Or it can come, like we said before, when we're younger and we're going through the family. It could be generational patterns that we have to change. We have to face the flame, like in a fire. We have to be the one that stands or to face the flame, not run away from it. For
Mm-hmm.
that, and then taking that stand, it's a lot more weight and it's a lot more courage that you take, especially when you start looking internal, especially when you start to react to something. It's like you said, being there, you like you said, putting your mouth on things,
Mm-hmm.
you're becoming reactive. Why are you becoming reactive to that? Why are you become How is that impacting now what you're saying? You're on the negative end of it, you may be criticizing
Yeah.
for something that you did that you didn't like, or somebody close to you, or you got hurt by it. Don't be reactive for that. If you're going to be reactive, make it an impactful reaction to something positive, what you're doing when it comes to loving yourself, because you got to self-reflect what's coming from, but just don't react in a negative manner. You have to work your way through it, like we were saying, like we said last week. Work
Yeah.
your way through it, not away from it or run from it. Just
Right.
acknowledge it. I mean, it's not always pretty, but it's how our mindset is. It may not be pretty, but it's pretty good to sit there and face it because it's not something that you have been doing.
Right. And see the thing about it, what it see is I'm studying, Lord knows. I'm so
Yeah,
consumed with all this
your
studying.
psychology.
Lord Jesus. So what it is she is talking about, when you get to that point to where you putting your mouth on things and you become what the psychology term is egocentric in
Hmm.
your thoughts. So it's like you are so up there and you know everything and how you think is, and that's where it's self-destruction. It ain't in my psychology book, but I can't wait till we have a discussion. But to me, egocentric is leading to self-destruction.
It does.
What she is saying though, and we go back to listen, loving yourself. Loving yourself literally means you have to check yourself. Now, for those of y'all who don't rock with God like me, I'm gonna give you the not rock with God version first. So what you have to do is you have to start looking in yourself, get with a psychologist, a life coach, or somebody that can, dig deep in layers and go back in your past and see what things have originated. Like she was saying, why do you react this way? Figure out your triggers and all that stuff. Now, the other side, because I'm versatile, God's side of it, you literally have to say, God, whatever is in me that's not like you, take it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you,
Impurities.
if you're not ready, do not pray this prayer. Because like she said, it's going to be ugly. Because you have been so, man, see this stuff go together well. You have been so egocentric so all your life that you think your ways are the right ways. And so you've been operating in that way and you convince yourself that my way is right. When in actuality, your way is in error. And so what has to happen is you have to look into yourself. God version first. Look into yourself and allow God to rip out things that are not like him, that makes you non-egocentric, that makes you selfless and not selfish, and let God pour you out. This is the first step to loving yourself. It's a hard one. It is, speaking from experience, but it's the best one.
The
Because,
acknowledgement.
yes, if you can allow God to really dig inside to the root of every single thing you experienced in life and everything that you experience in life, the trauma, that trauma has attached to it a reaction to things. And sometimes, most of the time, the reaction from that trauma is very negative. But if you can allow God to remove the root, the trauma, and have you fix and deal with the trauma and have him heal that trauma, then you in turn turn that thing that was negative to something positive. How does that look, King? Glad you asked. So now you were, I'm using me, you were molesting and used to mess with your mind and you was doing crazy things. Now, because you allowed God to heal that, now you're inspiring people. Now you're speaking to people that went through abuse, that are able to, and you're able to minister to them, and you're able to encourage them, say, listen, he did it for me, he can do it for you. And you speak from a place of compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I was supposed to go there, see, I'm trying to slow down. Yeah.
Well, some of the things that you're
Tag
saying,
you
and
it.
some of the things you're saying, comes from, I read a book, lot of books, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Had one-on-ones, I read on loving bravely. And the one things that they call out, which we were already saying, name it, call the past for what it is honestly and transparent, how you were and how you were impacted. Just call it out. And that's what we say it might look ugly. It might look ugly, but it might not feel ugly. You might feel peace. But that egocentric part that you're talking about, you have to claim that part because you just don't want to accept it. Why not? Why don't you want to face it? Like we're saying, what is blocking that? But then like we said, you got to connect it.
Yeah.
Connect and allow yourself to feel the impact thoroughly,
Yeah.
and the past without judgment. That's what we're talking about when we're saying connecting it and basically acknowledge it. Stop judging. Yes, like we said, it's stuff that we did not like we did, but we're still saying we didn't like we did it. Are we still holding that grudginess with ourselves inside still?
Right.
Are we still holding on to that ugliness? We've acknowledged it. We've named it. Now we got to connect it, but we got to do it without judgment. That's where I didn't know better. Or maybe, as they say, my awareness, I could not facilitate a choice to change because I wasn't aware. Now we are aware of it, that aspect of it. Now we're choosing the next part that we do. So we're naming, connecting. Now we're going to choose. We're going to choose to love again and again, because that part of us, like we're saying, loving ourselves, what else? We can't let pieces just fly away or burn off like ashes. We have to still embrace those. And if we are burning those pieces that are ashes, let it be the ones that we don't need.
Exactly. Now, I'm gonna read. You know what? It's funny you just said that because, like I said,
Which one?
I'm not gonna rush you because this is gonna be a series anyway. About the part about unforgiveness.
Yes,
That part. Now,
big part.
my mom sent this to me and my brother, and I'm gonna read it. It's a little bit lengthy, but I promise you, and I may have jacked up some of the words. You have to go Google them. But it said the research is simple. There is a chemical in our body called cortisol. It is a
Mm-hmm.
chemical that can hinder or suppress our immune system, which mainly is instigated by anger. He
Mm-hmm.
said, his name is Ajewere. I may be saying his name wrong. Ijewere. Go Google it. A medical director at Salas Trust Health Management Organization said that the link was expected to make people free from social attributes that might hinder their medication. According to the expert, Dr. Stephen Stanford, unforgiveness has been classified. This when I read this, I was like, man, we've been saying this. Unforgiveness has been classified in medical books as a disease. Refusing to forgive makes people sick and keep
Mm-hmm.
them that way. Of all cancer patients, 61% have forgiveness issues, and of those, more than half are severe. Harboring these negative emotions, this anger and hatred creates a state of chronic anxiety.
Yep.
Chronic anxiety is very predictable and produces excess adrenaline and cortisol, which depletes the production of natural killer cells, which is the body's foot soldiers in the fight against cancer. The issue of forgiveness is not about religion. It's
Mm-hmm.
about us and our attitude. Most people don't realize what a burden anger, hatred are until they let them go.
Yep. That
Did you
burden's
listen
lifted.
to me? That's a doctor now. Now I'm gonna be. I was. Hey, what's up, Andre? Good to see you, brother. Andre was here. We
Hey,
had a great
Andre.
time. Listen, like I told Andre, I'm gonna be a doctor just because I need y'all to listen to what I'm telling y'all. If I have a doctor with a PhD behind my name, then y'all listen. But I've been saying this. We've been talking about how forgiveness is a silent killer. This is a
Yes.
doctor that says that unforgiveness is a disease, and that 60s. You know that's a big number. Cancer patients struggle with unforgiveness. Now,
Because they have that guilt thinking that's why they have what they have now because of what they've done and that judgment of error.
see, now we own to something now. Y'all better listen. Man, we have. I really love my past life experiences. I never knew the value of my past life experiences until probably a couple of months ago, and probably when we started this show, actually, because what God has truly brung me through and out of and delivered me from has truly been a blessing to me now. Not for me, but for people, for you all. Because when we talk about this stuff, we're talking from a place of experience where we have overcome it and we able to give you the blueprint to how you can avoid some of the pitfalls that we fell in. And so it's imperative that we talk about love yourself or else. We're going to deal with that or else part. But the love yourself we want to tackle. Love yourself because you only get one you. And I ain't playing his song on here because they may like not play our YouTube, our podcast. But PJ Morgan got a song, and I sent it to see My Peace. Bad song. The man said, how can I help you if I don't love me? Pretty much what he's saying. And he's like, I want to get rid of everybody that's negative. Don't be around me. And you know what? We get upset about that. We feel like people are just, oh, you just rude. No. Think about it. Even in the Bible it say, love thy neighbor
Yep.
as you love yourself.
That definitely is not done a lot.
Actually, see, it is. And let me show you why I say that. Because If you don't know how to love yourself, you're actually going to treat your neighbor like you treat yourself. So if you treat yourself like crap, you're going to treat your neighbor like crap. If you are hurt and you're hurting yourself, you're going to hurt your neighbor. But if you start loving yourself, taking time out to find out what's wrong with yourself, dealing with yourself, then that love will go to other people. Because then you'll have compassion. Man, once I realized, man, had it not been for God, I see people totally different. I don't really judge people now. I can't. How? Now, when I was in the egocentric
The
mind,
deep down aspect of that, I
huh?
say. The deep down aspect of that when you're not loving yourself or love others, because sometimes people don't want to deal with this, so they don't love themselves, but they do love other people better than they love themselves. That's when we talked about pouring out more,
We
when
going
we
to the
talked
or
about
else.
that aspect of it. Hmm?
I guess we going to the or else now. Yeah.
No, not going to the or else. It's just what people do. And people, when they don't love themselves, you see them. Okay, when we talk about in the family, let's say
Okay, go.
your family wasn't very nurturing.
Uh
Your
huh.
family wasn't very effective, but you knew you loved each other.
Mm-hmm.
However, you see that same person being affectionate and giving hugs to other people.
Uh huh.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
You're gonna
yeah.
ask for how it carries over.
Okay, yeah.
They
I
still
see
have
that.
that love, but it's just been brought out. It's being brought out by other people.
Right.
They're acclimating to what someone else is doing. They're mirroring it because that's what that person does. But in the environment in the home, it's not that way. So again, you have to sit there and be that person, stand up and change those patterns
Right.
of that, because you be maybe yearning that affection that your family can give you, and you're trying to figure out, like you said, how do I give that to others, or how do I become vulnerable to give that to others, because I was having a barrier
Mm-hmm.
from that, because that was my safe zone. I'm letting people in know that this is a vulnerability. This is how I like to be loved. But I'm letting you know I love you. But however, how do I defend that for somebody, letting them in? And that can be
Mm-hmm.
a weakness to me. So I'm letting them know how to hurt me. So it becomes a mind game and war at yourself, or what you want, what you don't want. How do you balance that? And that comes again, that the awareness of learning how to adjust that. How do I get what I want, in the sense of, I do want love this way. How do I
Right.
even love myself? How can I give that love to somebody else and I can't give to myself?
Right.
That becomes an obstacle too.
Yeah. You're right. You do. It's right. But see, the thing about it is, we got to change the mindset to that, to becoming
Correct.
vulnerability. We got to change the connotation that's with it. And it's, if you become vulnerable, you're weak. Not necessarily. You're not.
You can't seek it though. Like you said, it's different in wanting it and seeking it. You can't seek it to fill a void,
Right.
like
You
we're saying
cannot.
before. You have to want it to become it, to be authentic and transparent about it in a way that doesn't hinder you, that doesn't hurt you, doesn't take away from you either.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't. And see, to go back to what you said about how, like, the person that doesn't love themselves, but they end up loving a person because a person giving that love and they respond to it. It reminds me of something I told you. Y'all know I'm not really a TD Jakes fan, but TD Jakes'
Mhm.
son-in-law had a sermon called Hidden Glory. I'm gonna
Mhm.
promote it. Go look, find it. Hidden Glory. That's what it's called. Last name Roberts. I think Torrey, something like that. Anyway, in it he talked about a dream he had about him and his daughter, and he was together. Cause I realized I'm gonna take my time because this is gonna be a series. So they was together in the dream, and the daughter had wings but didn't know she had wings, and so he needed his daughter to fly, and cause they all of a sudden the people all of a sudden these hoarder demons was coming after him. They was supposed to kill him, and he was telling his daughter to fly, and she was like, I can't fly. He saw the wings, but the daughter didn't, so he was so passionately saying, fly, 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 fly. And so he ended up talking to her, and she flew, and they got saved. The point that I got from that, I'm gonna share this with you. This is me what we used to say all the time about how if you all become your authentic self, then you can save someone else's life. The fact that he was able to speak into her life and get her to see her wings, not only did she get saved, he got saved. This was in his dream. I promise you, when I heard it, I'm like, good gracious, this is what we are doing. We are so adamant about people becoming their authentic self. Now we on this love yourself, because we want you to get it so that you can save other people's lives. Because literally that's what's happening. When you get this, when you understand that you need to love yourself, number one, and love who you are, and then deal with the self-work. I guess that's gonna be this series. Deal with the self-work inside of yourself. Deal with it. It's ugly. Yeah, it is. But you're gonna feel so much better when you let that weight off. You're gonna feel so much better when you forgive yourself. Because, like she said, most of the time we don't deal with stuff because we don't want to see us. And we can't let
Right.
go of what happened. And
Hmm.
sometimes we kicking ourselves like, how could I let this happen to me? What was I
Right.
thinking? Why would
Especially
I
when you
ever
know
put
better.
right? I
You've
should have
you've
known
been
better.
raised better than this.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not
Like,
practicing what you're
dang.
preaching. You're being hypocritical now. So
Yeah.
you don't want that unleashed. You want
Yeah.
people to see that. But the thing is, when we say go back to the past as a root, we're not saying stay stuck there, because if we
No.
stay stuck there, we're becoming victims. We don't want to be
Yes.
victims. We want to be victors
Right.
of it. However, we do have to go deep, and we have to penetrate that to actually extinguish it. What we have to do. But instead of looking at how we, as you said, the ugly side of it, but I say it's the released, peaceful side of it,
Mm.
because it's something that we don't like. Set yourself free in that aspect of it,
Yeah.
to allow the becoming of you. It could be a piece of you that you saw that you know, like sometimes we say, I'm not like that no more, but I wish I was. It goes back and forth in the aspect of it. You saying you wish you was. But is it the wish you was that, be careful what you say, like we say, be careful what you say with the tongue, what you say. You
Yes.
wish you know now better than what you did. You don't want to
Right.
go back to that, because you're going to go back into that premise of the unknowing. You can't say you're ignorant all the time, because you have the choice. Again,
Yeah.
awareness facilitates choice
Right.
in an aspect of, now you make the choice to do better, but in a better light. And like we said, now you can facilitate to somebody else. You can educate someone else. Hey, I have been in your shoes. I didn't like this about me. I did have to let it go, but be real about it and say, yes, it took me a long time. There are things still now that I still have to release and still completely let go. We all have that.
Yeah.
And it's a journey.
Yes, it is.
It is. It's a journey, and it can be a marathon. But you know what? Actually, it should not be a marathon. To be frank about it, it shouldn't be, because if I'm gonna let it go and I'm gonna heal and I want to get to where I want to be, I have to end that marathon now.
Right.
I
Right.
have to take that next step forward. I
That's
mean, to be
good.
frank about
That's
it,
good.
I
That's real.
do.
That's real good. That's real good. And the thing about it is, let's get rid of the thing about it. Let's get rid of the shame. What's up, CJ? Now that's our voiceover guy, man. CJ, we're gonna make it easy for you, CJ. We're gonna make this a series. We're just gonna keep using that over and over and over again. but we have to get rid of the shame off of what we did.
That's the other thing. Yeah, shame and
See,
guilt, they travel
right?
together.
Shame and
Yes, they
guilt.
do.
It's right there, and so that won't allow you, because you gotta think about this now. Listen to me. I promise you, it wasn't always. It wasn't always this way. But looking at it now, after I allowed God to do it, man, listen, that ain't who. Like she said, that's not who I am. That's who I grew from. I grew out of that.
Hmm.
It was something. It was something. It was a growing story for me. So now it's growth. I grew. Now when somebody brings it up, oh, you used it. They say, oh man, you used to mess with a married woman. I did. You absolutely right. I learned from it though. God grew me. So that sting they trying to get, they stuck. Cause now I'm gonna use it as a ministering platform. Bruh, I was didn't know who I was. And I said that last week. I didn't know who I was when I was in these past relationships. I was searching for me in other people, which is the most craziest thing you can ever do. Search for
And that's what
yourself.
people do. When we talk about love, we look for love in other people too. Like you said, you're searching for things. You're going to someone else to find that love that you want. Or sometimes, like they say, start saying the first love. I mean, for a girl, usually it's her father. For a mother, it's her son. When we look at the opposite genders.
Yeah, you gotta listen, man. You have to. Please, I'm begging you. You have to get this point. Your past, if you are living right now and you're watching this podcast, which you are living, your past, you survived it. You survived it. It's like you gotta get this. And so what if someone knows about what you did, you survived it. And so if they try to use it against you, don't let it. I just told my wife this morning and about Proverbs 31. I say, listen, you gotta be who God says you are. Forget that.
Mhm.
Forget what other people say you are. Read God's word, and then you repeat to yourself what God says you are. Now, if anybody says something contrary to what God says you are, don't listen. They're lying. Because God said this is who you are, and that's how you have to be about your life. You have to be so confident in God that you are who he says you are. Now, I don't know how to speak to y'all who don't rock with God yet.
Well, confident belief, the belief that comes with it too. Yeah, that
Believe.
faith and belief within
That's
it.
how we're going to speak to those who don't rock with God. You have to believe in yourself that you are great. You have to believe in yourself that you are created to do great things. Not let people, small-minded people, mind you, fearful-minded people, talk you out of your greatness. But see, how they talk you out of your greatness, we go right back to it. We're going right back to it. You have not done the work to get yourself together. So you're confused about who you are. But if you go do the work, you do that self work and allow things to be exposed, and you get rid of the things, the unforgiveness for yourself, the shame of yourself, the guilt from yourself, and you let God deal with your heart, bam, you taking off. Promise
That's
you
a
taking.
process.
It
It's a
is.
process, like you said. It's not like you're saying finding finding yourself. Because for me, one's not really ever lost.
Okay.
When you're so-called finding yourself. To me, sometimes that's an excuse saying you lost yourself. I could say you just lost your way and you start not to care. I say that
That's
there's something
strong.
that
That's
triggered it
strong, sis.
for you not to care in
That's
that
strong.
aspect of it. It's an ongoing process every day. Stuff you slough off, something new is gonna come because you're learning every day. Things that are coming that you're gonna be put up against in your challenges and your trials. And there are lessons that you need to learn. Now you're ready to
Yeah.
learn them.
Yeah.
And that so it's on it doesn't you don't just find yourself one day and everything's okay and hunky dory.
No, that's
It's
not the
not
case.
that because your other talent's gonna come next. You're
It's
gonna
coming.
face something that you might have got half the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the whole lesson.
Right.
So when that whole lesson comes, it prepares you for the next one. Life is not be like you're going to be a life learner. Is all you
Right.
are with life.
Right.
That's why we're put here. We weren't put here to be perfect. Heaven
Right.
forbid, I don't want to see a perfect person
Me
because
either.
if they say they are, they're lying in that aspect.
Run. That's what you do. Run from them
Yeah,
fools. They lying.
right.
But
And it
it,
is, like you say, Eric, it is important to who you are and whose you are. That's
yeah,
true.
see that's the point. You got a great point there. See, it's the thing about it is a process. Yes.
Hmm.
And sometimes we do leave it out, and that's one thing we really like to stress about the process. We ain't trying to scare y'all, but we just trying to keep it real with you. Understand that it ain't gonna be no microwave situation where you, oh, okay, the day I decide I want to know myself. Okay, yes, 2 hours go by. I know myself. Nope, not gonna work like that. It's gonna be things that slowly getting exposed about you. It's gonna be really slow. It's gonna be very strategic how it works. It's gonna
And
be
those are the
tough,
true
just like
trials.
surgery.
Those are the true trials. When you're
Right.
exposed to something that's really gonna hurt you, you really don't want people to know about you. That's where you're really gonna be put to the test of exposing and accepting who you are, who
Yeah.
you were.
Yeah.
Because your past isn't who you are. To your present is who you become from that. If you allow it to be that, not that you stay stuck in it, because if you stay stuck back there, you're allowing yourself to be that person that you don't like anymore. But
You
obviously,
are.
if you're aware that you don't like it now, you've moved on now. Embrace that present moment right now that you're this person you want to be now. Let that person or that actually, it's not even the person, it's the behavior. Detach that. It's
Right.
the behavior.
Right. The character. Yeah. Let it go. Let it go. You're not, and don't allow people to keep you there. But again, back to this.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't allow people to keep you there. Man, get away from the people. Get around people that's gonna promote where you're going and where you're trying to get to. But again, like I said, it's like surgery though. Really. You can't just go in when they trying to do a surgery or procedure on you. They don't go in and just chop away and say, "Whoop, okay, we pull it out." They very strategic in everything they do, down to the anesthesia, how much anesthesia you should have, down to how many cc's it should be, down to everything that from the knife they use, from the hands, the gloves, and all. Everything is very strategic about getting that one thing out that they need to cut out because they don't want to, while they moving around, they don't want to damage something else. So I promise you, that's how God does this thing. The little things that you need to get rid of, he's loving, he's caring, and all of a sudden you just find yourself, oh man, wow, that don't bother me no more.
And how you said that, how you the things you named, from the precision to exacting the spot what they're gonna, excise out of you, to the anesthesia they're giving you, to the people they're giving you. That is the things that help you release it. They're individual tools that are given to us. We don't always take the tools that are at our hand because our emotion is bothering us with it, or it's not letting us see it and letting us absorb it. Those
Mm-hmm.
tools. You see how many things you named off.
Yeah.
It's that many things.
Yes.
It's that many things to make sure, where you're going through that process, where you're going through the strategies of expelling something out of you, or just in the process of changing and just adjusting, changing and adjusting, which, a lot of people are uncomfortable with change, but it's uncomfortable to make you comfortable in a productive manner,
Right.
or something which you want. It's putting you to where you want to be, baby steps, but sometimes we do got to jump off the cliff without the parachute.
Sometimes you
Sometimes we
know.
have to do that. We can't stay there because we're letting some, you need pushed off sometimes. And that becomes with the people that surround you,
Right.
that uplift you in that aspect too. But the number one cheerleader should be yourself.
Right.
You should be that person sometimes just walking off that cliff.
Yeah.
Not
Even in the
literally.
preparation, see, because they gotta get their iron done, they gotta scrub their nails and all that stuff.
Hmm.
They scrubbing their nails, even though they're not gonna use it, just in case the glove pop. So it's always so much
Hmm.
preparation. So trust me when we tell you that it's so much preparation into you being delivered from yourself.
And
It's not that
your
it's
catches, you're
yeah.
like you're saying, you when you don't allow the process, or you don't allow things to happen, we're blocking what's actually there to catch us.
Yeah.
Actually, that's actually going to propel us. Now it's great, how you're saying, CJ, going into a storm, you're in a storm or you're coming out of a storm. It's like, the Most High says you are, what storm exactly. Especially
Yeah,
when
that's
you sit in
most
that,
definitely.
you sit in the eye of it. It's not a storm. It's what our mind
Ooh,
can create a
CJ
storm that's
preaching.
not even there.
Yeah, CJ, good one. That's CJ. Boy, we missed that preaching. You be good. Yeah, but see, look, you're being prepared though for in the basic. What I'm saying, you've been prepared for the parts of you supposed to come out because it's subtle things that happen. For me, I'm gonna show you something. For me, it was subtle things that I was starting to become aware of. Like I'll become aware of something I said, something just as small as that, like how I said it, and it's like, dang, why did I talk like that? It's just that's small, but it's major. And so
And it's you
now,
naming it.
right? So
Hmm.
now you're saying, okay, why are you talking about? Where that come from? Then it's like something will trigger and remind me, okay, this happened to you, and this caused you to respond this way. Oh man, I got to go back to that. So God, show me this, and it's just start. It's like a snowball effect, and next thing you know, you're in the middle of a deliverance that you didn't even see coming, but you get prepared all along. It's literally a process. Like C said, I agree with her 100%. We are forever growing and learning. We do not arrive until your casket drop. You're still gonna be forever learning and growing. But
Hmm.
please start. That's what we really like when we talk about this love part. Love yourself. Start loving yourself. Cause some of y'all are not loving yourself, and it is what it is. And this is the preparation for y'all. This is us. This is the surgeon, and they're washing their hands with the iodine. Here you go, right here. They washing their hands with the iodine. This is what this right here is. We're gonna go deeper. We're gonna get into some surgery further on in this series. But right now, we just washing our hands. That's all. We getting prepared for this surgery. Because we really wanna very, very much so show you how to love yourself. But we need to start with the basic, the foundation of it. And that is you literally looking at yourself for real. Like being honest with you. Listen, nobody is in the room with you right now. Maybe, but most of y'all watching this, nobody's in the room with you but you. You by yourself watching this or listening to this. And so don't nobody really know what we're saying but you. So let's do some surveys of you. Are you holding on to some things that you should not be holding on to from the past? Are you a little angry or aggressive and you really shouldn't be angry or aggressive? Are you holding a grudge? Are you judging people? You, I mean, like, literally, let's do some self check now. And then, trust me, we ain't gonna leave y'all hanging. Oh, we not gonna leave y'all hanging. we gonna deal with this. This is why this is as a series. Cause we gonna deal with the series Love Yourself or Else. Because it's important to us that you do love yourself. Because when you love yourself, we start a trend. And then we make the world better because the world has started loving themselves. Man, listen, my goal is to break the back of spiritual segregation and this spiritual gap that we have in this world. That's my goal. I'm serious about that. And I know we gotta start with ourselves. Literally, we do. We gotta start
Yeah, and
here.
it comes to just writing. I mean, you can even begin. You're wondering maybe how to begin. Maybe write three things down that can come to your mind right away. What comes down? One, two, and three. You said you have your three things. Okay. What action step are you going to take to correct it, to embrace it, or change it? What are you going to do? Start with just that little part of it, and then maybe hold on to that. I would say a week or two. It depends how I would say how in depth that is, that change that needs to be. And you can see sometimes too when you start to react, you just quickly react. Write it down sometimes. I would just say do the three, write them down what they are and what action step do you want to take to change that. Or I was gonna say modify, not even change, just modify.
Modify, yeah, that's the word.
Modify it. What way up or down? Maybe you're doing something too much. You just need, just like I said, just modify. It comes both ways. Take them different steps. Like we said, you have to name, connect, and choose it. What you have to do. Name it, identify it. When you're going to connect it, how deep is that root? How deep does that go? And so, and this is not. I don't want this exercise to be just a couple minutes. Take some deep thought. I mean, if something comes quickly, okay. But I mean, if you resolve that and you execute that, name three more, but take it to a different level
Yeah,
of it.
yeah,
Now that's just surface. Let's go beneath the sub. Let's go subsurface here.
yeah.
That's up because you're going to go through your layers, like we say in the onion. Onion has different layers. You take through your different layers that you have, and that's going to make you go deeper and deeper. It's going to get to the part where we're saying where you have to, where you choose to love over and over and over again, because that's the ultimate goal where you want to be with yourself.
Right.
And many say, what is love? You have to define love. And love is different from everybody else. As we talked about the five love languages, we talked about those before. You have to define it for yourself, how you give it, how you receive it. There's so many different methods, so many different steps and intricacies that you can take this, but start with that first and then
Mm-hmm.
go layer by layer. And have someone hold you accountable for it too. Talk to someone about it with you. Someone who you can, if you have, that can be transparent with you, that can you and be able to take it. If you truly want to modify and you truly want to change things about you, take that feedback. Maybe you don't want to hear it or not, but take it, distinguish what you need. But the person you're talking to, we're going to say, is something that you trust, a confident, someone that has your best intentions at hand, who's not going to just sugarcoat stuff. They're going to be real, 100% real with you. Take that feedback
Right.
if they obviously know how you are, things are, and when you hide stuff or things you don't want to talk about, they know your mannerisms. You have to have someone with you that will do that for you
Reach out
to
to us.
truly modify.
We're happy. We're happy. Reach out to us. Listen, this is how I'm gonna give you one for free. This is how we literally want you to love yourself this week as you do those steps that she's saying. Love yourself unconditionally. Love yourself unconditionally.
That means without judgment
Without
in that
judgment.
aspect. Without
Without
judgment.
without judgment, without saying just love yourself unconditionally. You and I'm gonna take a page from C's book. You have loved other people and they mess and been in relationships and they treated you like dog doo doo
Mhm.
and you kept on and you stuck with it. It's time for you to love yourself that way. That's what we're saying this week. What did you do this week? And again, it's key because honestly, I have to go back to how can you love thy neighbor if you don't love thyself? You can't. So love yourself unconditional. And make sure you understand that don't judge it. Forget if you get to a point to where you come to one of those things and it says, and you be like, man, dang, what was I thinking of that? Don't do that. Say, okay, I forgive me. You know what? You was tripping. You had a moment. Yeah, I
Right?
forget.
Work through it. Work
Watch this.
through it.
I give you an example. Like when I came out of that situation, I like, yo, how in the world you get yourself into that? You know what? You didn't know you know what? You knew better, but it's okay. You can bounce back from this. It's all right. I forgive you. I'm talking to me. That's how you gotta do yourself. Because the best forgiveness, I believe, is you forgiving yourself first. Then that's gonna lead to you forgiving everybody else. I promise you it will. But this week, love we talking about for you, unconditional love.
Without judgment.
Without judgment. When you write those three things down, be honest. Again, why? Because you're going to love yourself unconditionally without judgment.
And it's funny when we say, when we have conversation with friends or people around us, like, don't judge me what I'm about to tell you. Don't judge me. And you don't judge them. But look how critical and judgmental we are of ourselves, of our actions. We don't have that same, I would say, peace and forgiveness, as you're saying, like that. Oh, I'm not going to judge you. It's okay. I know who you are. We don't do that for ourselves.
Don't do it for ourselves. Right.
We
but
don't. You're saying, yeah, you're saying bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
The bouncing back is how deep you're going to put that hole for you to bounce back. Fill that hole in with dirt. Fill it in with some dirt, some clean dirt. So you won't have far to bounce back from.
It's that black dirt you want. You want that black dirt, not that red dirt. That red dirt ain't going. Get the black dirt. We want you to put that dirt. Get yourself in that. Get dirty. Go ahead. Die to yourself. That's what we're saying. Because when you die to yourself, you're going to grow. Because that's what has to happen. A seed goes to the ground and it has to die first for it to be able to produce anything. And first thing it start producing once it dies is roots. Why does it start producing roots? So they can get nurturing to the seed, so they can grow into the plant. So yes, you got to die to yourself. Why? To get nurtured. You need to start nurturing yourself. I don't know how we go. Nurturing yourself. And I'm going to stop doing what they tell me to stop doing. Nurturing yourself, because that is important. While you're nurturing yourself, you're establishing a foundation, a strong foundation, and that's what you need in whenever you're growing. Because once you bust through and it's light, it's sun and all that stuff, that's a whole different monster. But if you have established roots, you can withstand anything.
Good roots.
Good roots. You can withstand anything. Now, shifting over y'all, let's go to church. The root, if you root yourself in God, plant yourself in God, abide in Him as He abide in you, then you will never lack. You will never suffer. But you will continue to grow, forever grow. Now, you may have some pruning, but nevertheless, it's for your good. And you'll continue to grow. So, when you're loving yourself, come on, it's okay. Man, it's time. It's time for you. Man, y'all watching this, I feel it really in the air. It is time for some of you all to really start loving yourself without judgment. That was key right there, see. Loving yourself without judgment.
And the pruning. I think pruning is a good word that you use too. It's pruning. Because everyone, we're all flawed. We all need some type of pruning every step of the way. It would be months, it could be days, it could be years. It just depends what's falling in our lap. It's in our lap. What are we gonna do with it? Like you said, it is those roots. They do establish, the solid foundation for you. But it establishes a ground that you can stand on. And then we don't. Some of the roots, you guys may have roots right now. We just have to nourish them.
Yes.
You might have a foundation right now. We just need to mend it more. Just make it a little. We need to solidify it more. What we have to do. You let them water in. It's getting some cracks in it. Let's mend those cracks. Let's make it strong, because as we come up and we're still growing, we got a lot more things we're going to face. A lot more things. But we can weather, like, CJ said, what storm? Exactly. We can weather what is thrown at us, weather through it. We're going to be on safe ground. Always on. And that's a key thing too. When you are loving yourself, make it a safe, secure ground where you can be yourself, where you can be vulnerable. And mainly it's with yourself.
Yeah.
When you, like you said, looking in the mirror, what do you actually see? If it's not something that you, like the shame and guilt that comes with it, what caused that shame and guilt? Was it an outside opinion from a past relationship, with whether it could be intimate, friendship, or familiarship? What caused that? Call it out. Like I said, name it, connect it, and choose it. Choose that right path that you want. And sometimes going to speak on it, a lot of times we silence it too. That's the other thing. If it needs spoken on, I would say speak on it. You have to relieve yourself for the peace of mind for yourself, not always for others. Because when you release what you're thinking and keep it inside, you release and bring peace to you. It's for you. It's not for others. It's for you. And that's when when you're saying selfish and selfless. It's selfish of you to not have peace for you. That's selfish of you.
Yes.
Selfless to release that peace so you can have it. Release what's not benefiting you right now.
Yes.
You have your armor. You have what you need. You have your protective gear. Don't put yourself in that bubble where you're even isolating yourself from yourself.
Yes. Man, look, this is a series. Cause we're gonna start right here. Now, you may need to go back and rewatch this. Cause we giving you a lot. And I'm be honest with you, I'm gonna go back and rewatch it because a lot of stuff I'm saying I've never heard before. God giving it to me right now on the spot. I myself is gonna go back and watch this. Let me tell you something. I think this is what's happening. I know this is what's happening. Whenever you decide to make up in your mind that you want to build people and that you sincerely want to help people, and you're not really chasing the bag. We all know that terminology. But you're really chasing the souls and chasing people. It's amazing how God will show up and give you wisdom that you don't have none of. And the timing of everything. Like I said, many of you know, I'm in school right now for psychology, majoring in psychology, getting a master's and a bachelor's degree at the same time. God, the timing of that is amazing to me. But the thing about it is, the root of it has not changed. It's still about building people. It's still about the kingdom for us. And so now, this is where we at. We have dedicated, we ready to start a series. This is our first series, actually. Ain't this our first series?
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, this is our first series after 34 episodes. This is our first series, and we're starting it, and it's such a great moment, and I'm looking forward to it. So, again, go back and watch it. Watch this episode again. There's a lot of write down what she was saying, the notes and the 3 things. Have them next week. Love yourself without judgment. Do that, please. And I promise you, what we're going to do, we're going to see you next week for part 2 of this. CJ, we're going to keep the same intro. We ain't even changing it. So you're going to have a break for a little while. You're going to rest your voice up for the next one, the big show. So
Yeah.
if all hearts and minds are satisfied, we definitely supposed to go to benediction. We look forward to seeing you next week as we continue this series, Love Yourself or Else. We say
Name, connect, and choose.
there we go. Name, connect, and choose. All right. See y'all next week. Let's go to the Father. Father, I thank you right now for every single person that watched this podcast tonight. Father, I pray Psalms 91 over their life. I pray that no evil shall befall them. No plague shall come to their dwelling, that 1,000 may fall at their side, 10,000 at their right, but only with their eyes would they witness destruction. I thank you for the angels encamped around about them, and I thank you most importantly that they abide under the shadow of your wing. Father, I thank you that no weapon formed against them will prosper. Every tongue that rises up against them shall fail. And Father, I plead the blood of Jesus over them right now. And Father, we thank you for this time that you have set aside for us to empower the people and to educate the people, Father, and that they will be even better after hearing this podcast, and that their life will be in a true trajectory of their authentic self. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.